No, I didn't know you were here because you guys didn't know I was here either. Because my whole last stream that I did for an hour, the audio was off on my end and my guest end. An hour. Look, I'm gonna just fast forward. I'm gonna try to tell you in 20, 30 seconds what happened. Anthem sucks. It needs help. It has a lot of good stuff foundationally. Um, Destiny sucked at first, and they got their shit together. Um, what else were we talking about?
The consoles are basically anemic.
Oh, the fact that we're playing with Jaguar CPUs is amazing because it's a CPU designed for netbooks and nothing more. Yeah, now I'm all in a pissy mood, man. We'll let Q, who is our guest, which you wouldn't know either because you didn't hear when I introduced him on the stream earlier. This is Q, blah blah blah, from another show, Game Buffet. Let's do this.
That was about 45 seconds, but close enough.
Yeah. Man, I am salty now. 50 minutes of just my mouth moving and me wrecking online. And thankfully there was like 2 people that stopped by and then stayed in the chat, which was kind of weird because like there was nothing going on, so they kind of just was watching the gameplay, which I appreciate at least.
I'm surprised like no one said, "Hey, your audio's off" or something.
Yeah.
Like they would have seen your mouth moving the whole time.
Yeah.
I know some people just don't bother with that, so you can't blame them.
Yeah, I'm trying to delete this shit right here. Let's delete that.
No, delete what, huh?
No
one saw anything.
No one's seen anything. There's no evidence.
No, I hate when technical difficulties hit like that, though. I remember at one point I was streaming Shenmue HD, and I tested the audio at the start of the stream, and everything was working fine. So I just went on, continued playing and all that stuff. And then about maybe 45 minutes into it, someone asked me, "Oh, why is there no audio?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, I tested the audio right at the start of the stream. It was working just fine. I could hear it from the stream at the start. I could hear it directly from my computer at the start, my computer the entire time." So I checked it again, and there was no game audio after the game audio was fine when it was booting up and when it was on the main menu, but when it loaded into the game, everything was silent. So for like 45 minutes, it was just me.
But people usually talk to you, so like, what's it? I mean, why aren't people saying anything? Like,
I'm not sure.
They kind of just sat there and smiled and was like, "This is Q's show for today."
No, I think it was Shenmue was it's I don't want to say it's a niche game. There's a very big community for it. Like I'm part of the essentially what was called the Save Shenmue community, Shenmue Tree.
Yeah, trust me, I know all about it. And I think,
I suppose you and Corey Marshall and all. Yeah,
I think it's very admirable and it's really cool that the community who wanted a product that they felt like they deserve, or it's not like an entitlement type of thing. It's just like
they wanted it to exist. They felt like the story should have been ended, continued. They felt it deserved to be ended. They felt like Yu Suzuki deserved to tell his story. And I get it. It's not a whiny entitled thing. But yeah,
trust me, I know a thing about that. Go ahead.
Exactly. Even with how big movements like that and stuff are, it's still a relatively niche game. So I know that my first Shenmue stream was brilliant. I did that. I told myself I was going to stream for like 2 hours. Then I looked at my watch and it was like, oh wow, I've been streaming for nearly 6 hours.
What's up, Fanatic? Let me know when you get home, man. Go ahead and jump into the chat. Go ahead, Q.
Oh no, don't worry. Yeah, see, the bit in the particular stream where the audio kind of cut out, it was during the slow. There's a slow grind part, kind of essentially, towards the end of the first game, and I was at that part, and I had titled the stream as such. So I figured there probably wouldn't be too many people stopping by. So then when some did, it's like, oh, you know, where's the audio? I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. And
yeah, I don't know.
I was very unhappy about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if you felt anything the way that I feel right now, because I'm pretty salty about it.
It was about the same, I'd say. It was roughly about the same, because the big reason why it annoyed me so much was that all the time I spent making videos and talking about it, being part of the community about Save Shenmue HD, literal years I was involved in that. They finally come out, they finally get re-released, and that happens during the playthrough of one of them. So that really struck me the wrong way for like 2 weeks.
Oh,
that was bad.
That was a long journey.
It really was. It really was. Because the thing that made it drag on was that the entire time I was playing Shenmue 1, like I think there was 1 or 2 streams after that one that worked properly, it was on my mind because I was still playing Shenmue 1. Then I moved to Shenmue 2. I was like, okay, I'm playing the sequel. I still remember what happened in that stream in the first game. That was annoying me. And then I finished that, and for like a couple of days later, it was still annoying me. But I was like, okay, you know what? This is gonna eat me alive if I don't just let it go.
That's funny. I mean, you kind of like let your feelings out. Just nobody heard them.
Yeah, but it has to be done, you know. It has to be done.
Yeah, no,
I'm a passionate guy when it comes to my favorite hobby. So
yeah, I respect that. I get shit constantly because I talk a lot about the Snyder cut of Justice League that Zack Snyder made, and that we didn't get in theaters and we haven't gotten yet. But that's part of like the passion, and it's part of like the movement. And I'm not trying to say movement like in this big like snobbish way, because I hear that a lot, especially in politics. People are like, this movement of people, and it's just a bunch of ignorant people who when you ask them why do they believe what it is that they believe, they can't really tell you anything at all. They just kind of need some form of validation of their existence. They feel as though because they can speak and work and be able-bodied and have a brain, that they should go out there and pretend that they have use for it. I mean, they do, but like what your cause is right now, your movement, it's by no means one. Now, when we talk about the movement for like the Snyder cut that I want, I by no means am I pretending that it's anything that like means anything. Like it's not gonna.
It's not gonna change the world.
Yeah, it's not
on
gonna.
par with the Shenmue movement. That's basically the best way.
Yes. So I was gonna say it's not gonna help save lives, but then I stopped there because a lot of the money that we spend on Snyder cut release stuff goes to suicide prevention. So I'm like, oh, obviously, you know, that helps go towards that.
Yeah,
but you get what I mean.
I
literally.
Get it.
So, but anyways, like I'm only in like year 2 of this thing, so I have no idea how it is to be a Shenmue fan and like campaign for something for 15 years, you know. Kingdom Hearts 3 though, I didn't campaign for, but I've always been vocal about me wanting that. I wanted Futurama to come back, right? And they did come back twice, and they died out 3 times, but. I wanted Family Guy to come back, they did. I wanted Arrested Development to come back, and they did. So like I just feel if you're vocal about anything as a fan, someone will hear it. Somebody. So
yeah, they might not do anything about it, but someone will still hear it.
Yeah. But anyway, so like with Shenmue, I'm just happy that it happened, right? Because to have that kind of experience, I think about something like Halo, right? Imagine I got Halo 1, and then I got Halo 2, and then
you
that
never
was it.
got Halo 3 for 15 years. Exactly. It's especially funny to use that as an example, because you know the end of Halo 2, you know, like the exact last line. That pissed me off for like 5 years. I was so annoyed at that because it felt like it was halfway through the game and they just finished it at a mid-game cutscene. So that's the perfect example. Like, it's just the continuation of the story that was supposed to happen but never did.
I'm trying to think of how it, what quote it is at.
Oh, at the end of Halo 2, it's I'm going to finish the fight.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what are you doing on that? What are you doing on that Covenant ship, Chief? Because I'm finishing the fight. And that's it.
Yeah. Man, I teared up at the end of 3. The non-legendary ending of 3, right? Because I didn't play through it in legendary first. I played in heroic first because I was unemployed at the time, and I didn't know if I could play like in peace. And what I mean by that is, whenever you're in a household where you contribute nothing, when that person tells you, I want the TV, guess what? You give them the TV. When that person says, I want to play the games, guess what? You got to get off the console. When that person says, hey, get out this house, you got to get out the house.
You're right.
So,
yeah, and you've got better things to worry about than playing it on Legendary.
Yeah, so I was like, you know, if I play it on Heroic, I could probably get it. I could get through this before anybody wants me to get off or do anything. So I played through it, and I teared up, man, when I seen his numbers, his Spartan tag scratched into the wing of that ship that they're using as a monument.
For the monument, yeah.
Oh man. No, that was such, you know, and I guess this is a good topic to get into because, you know, we just had a very amazing show that nobody heard. It was exclusive. But you know, I think this would be a good topic, and I wish. Damn it, I gotta change the name of this stream when we're done because it's called Anthem and Apex when I'm not even gonna talk about them now. But I was thinking about a couple days ago that
enemy over there.
Xbox and I want to do a video on this too. I need to get some time and I need help with like editing stuff because I've never done a video like this before and I gotta gather some notes. But Xbox means, like, has done and meant so much to me. To me, it presented a game cinematically in Halo 2, with a full score from a symphony or an orchestra. It got such attention, like it paid such attention to detail, not just in the story or where the universe where this story existed, but like there was such deep lore. And oh, I'm already carrying that. Already. Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out why I can't pick something up. Xbox is like presenting me with that. It's presenting me with Forza, the best racing game, because I was in Gran Turismo. It's given me, you know, Project Gotham and Splinter Cell when it was an exclusive at the time. Extra DLC. Whenever we talk about like games, like Xbox had that because it had extra power and it had more storage. It was able to play. It was able to get like exclusive. Hold on. It had exclusive like content on there. It's not that it had exclusive games. I mean, it did, but you know what I mean. Like of third parties,
yeah,
you would get exclusive content. It gave you the option to put in your like CD players and oh shit.
I mean, put your custom soundtrack into your game and stuff. Yeah.
It gave me an experience that I wasn't used to from anywhere else. Holy shit, I'm getting chased.
Yeah, that was the brilliant thing about the OG Xbox, or as I like to call it, the Xbox 180. But
so with that being said,
it was truly unique in that way. Yeah?
Moving into like the 360, it evolved with those things in mind, and it was absolutely stunning. It was absolutely amazing. You know, focused again on the like CDs and stuff, and backwards compatibility and ergonomic design. Although it was like the console itself, you know, was a failure in terms of industrial design.
Yeah, the
But
hardware design was a problem.
but the console was designed to be everything that we knew consoles to be, and then secretly be a Trojan horse for the future gaming. And the console evolved with the technology around us. Like we're back then and now, we still evolve physically technology to fit what it is that we want them to do, but the Xbox just seemed to constantly have the ability to do whatever it is that we wanted it to do. When it played games from a disc, then it played games on a memory card, bro. Unheard of that you can do that. It played games that you could download. It started with like smaller file games at first, and then you could download full games. You could download DLC. You can stream Netflix. That was insane. You could attach your what is it, HD DVD player if you had it or not. I guess not. You can't do that if you didn't do it, but you could if you did.
Well, no,
but,
you can still do it. I still have 2 of them.
Yeah, I have mine, and it's in a glass case. I treat it like if it's actually like in a glass case. I treat it like it's national treasure. But
I have 2 of them because I have the one I use for like my 40 or 50 HD DVDs, and I bought one that is still unopened, brand new, for €10 because the place I was working was clearing all of them out at one point. So they were reduced from €200 to €10. I was like, okay, I'm buying this as a backup in case my other one dies.
Bro, that's nuts. I wish I came across that. I'd buy it too. I'd buy several. I mean, it's just, I don't know. You gotta have this piece of history, man. And on the 360, I can't even get into the titles that I enjoyed and exclusive that I enjoy, because the exclusives list on the 360 is impossible to say on this stream before 8 o'clock, within an hour.
Right.
Yeah, it's so big, and they think it's Phil Spencer. This is all come in circle. With Phil Spencer, the guy, he's trying to change gaming as a whole versus making Xbox great. Xbox no longer matters to this guy. He's taking the name of Xbox and changing gaming altogether. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, he's going bigger with it. Like there's all the rumors now about it coming to Switch, about like Game Pass coming to Switch. Obviously Microsoft has been building up PC the last couple of years. I'm sure you've probably seen Phil Spencer's comments over the last few days about how they basically have huge announcements this year for PC. There's all the stuff that was discovered by Xbox insiders at the moment for Xbox One, where they're basically, what it seems that they're doing is going to be bringing all 360 exclusives and Xbox One exclusives, even backwards compatible stuff, to PC.
Shit, my squad sucks. And I have so much more to say about Xbox. It's not just those little things that I mentioned. It's really rooted around the culture. It's really rooted around the company wanting to cater to me. It's really rooted around providing options and catering to the developer. It's really rooted around providing these experiences that we never had before. And when I say that, no, I do not mean because you've never wiggled your hands and played a game before. This is why we're bringing this to you, because it's a way you haven't played before. I am saying I've never played a game with my thumbs and my hands, my fingers, sat on a couch and mourn for this fake polygon character. I've never felt like the melody of music in a game. I hear it, but I never feel it. And you know why I hear it but don't feel it in other games at the time, when in all those other games that I played previously, is because that's not the main point. That it was like the music in the actual game was not in hand. It was because if I had no music, it would sound really weird. It'd just be like awkwardly silent. There's no background ambient noise, right? So when you go to a city, you hear from blocks away a car braking. Like, so imagine you're standing in a city and you hear nothing but your own footsteps. Like, that would just be it would be odd and awkward and uncomfortable, and it's just not correct. It's not natural. So like, this felt, it just, it just felt like another tier of gaming. And with Xbox right now, I don't feel that way about the console. I don't think about it that way. It provides the best platform to game, but I don't think it's the best platform to game. Like, if you get what I mean, it is factually the best platform to build and run your games. But I don't think it's the best place for gamers to game, because the Xbox, because where are your exclusives? So you have some. Don't get me wrong, there are some, but I can count them, or I can list them in 40 seconds. That's a problem.
One hand.
In a whole generation. This isn't, well, this is the first year, next year Xbox will, no. Like, we're about to get our next consoles. So it's just, I don't dislike Phil Spencer. I don't know him. I'm sure he's probably all robotic and he has no character. Because I've run into the guy a couple times, and his team is all robotic, and they seem to have no differing opinion about anything at all. I'm sure they all drink the same drink and eat the same food. But it's just, we say Phil's a gamer. I'm not saying he's not. I want to say that first before someone tries to think that me, some guy sitting in his room, thinks he knows the true secret behind Phil. It's not that. It's, we talk about, man, Phil's a gamer and he loves games and he plays them. He's not like Don Matrick. I think to say someone is not like Don Matrick is an insult, because Don Matrick, if he's not a gamer or not, he went into places with wads of cash and said, I want that, we want that, I want the DLC for 30 days first, you know what, I want the extra content for us exclusively, you guys want this game, I'm buying it for you guys. And he gave and he gave and he gave to us, the fans. And it's not like because it's the hardware, because it's the company. It was just to reward us for our investment, you know? Like, we invested in you, and I have to provide something. Everyone who's buying Xbox this generation, including myself, including you, we're all not shilling. We're all funding. We're shelling out the cash that they need for next generation, rather than them taking their money to invest, like their money from their successes to invest into that generation. Instead, we're just paying for it directly, because they keep putting out these low cost products, like low cost in terms of making, selling it for high, like controllers, right? Putting these sales, constant sales. They're trying to do anything.
Nothing back to the people who are actually investing in it this generation.
And nothing in comparison to the 360 is what I want to express. Like,
no, you're dead right. When you compare the 360 games that were coming out, like, you would buy an Xbox 360, you would buy a handful of games, whatever, maybe another controller, all that stuff, and you knew with pretty much absolute certainty that you would have big name game after big name game after big name game. Maybe something exclusive, maybe something first party, maybe something third party exclusive, maybe DLC exclusivity, something like that. But obviously that's all changed. Now, there was a couple of things I disagree with what you were saying through the entire thing, but I get what you're saying with this one, and it's something I said originally a little bit beforehand, how because it's tipped now that Halo Infinite will possibly be out next year as a launch title for the next generation. It will probably come to Xbox One as well as whatever Xbox 2 is called, or an Xbox or whatever, and PC as well. But if that was to not come to Xbox One, it would be an absolute slap in the face to everyone who's been strung along by Microsoft all these years.
And that's an issue. Like, you just said those words,
absolutely.
Like being strung along. Like, that's how it feels. That's how it feels.
Yeah, wait till E3. Wait till E3. Here's another game we're gonna have. Oh, you have this ex-legendary studio called Rare. You make them make Sea of Thieves of all things. You put out something low effort and low quality like State of Decay 2. Don't even get me started on Crackdown 360. There's just... I mean, the game, 5 years, it's dirt. It's
five years later, it's not technically impressive in comparison to Red Faction that was on a PS3.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like it's I don't feel like I should say insulting, because that's taking stuff a bit too personally. But at the same time, it's insulting your money that you spent.
It's your intellect. You were duped, man. You were duped.
To an extent, yeah.
You were duped. You invested in that product, taking their word. And so either way, look, there's two ways to look at it. Whether it's their fault and you're duped, or that you're an idiot for believing in them. But both ways, your intellect was insulted, and you're kind of a jackass now. And you know, it's not fun for that to be factual.
No, absolutely not. And that's a big problem. That's why I was hoping that. I think, I'm hoping, but I don't want to give Microsoft the benefit of the doubt at this point, because, well, look at the last few years, last 6 years to be exact. But going forward, I'm really hoping that, like, look at the last generation, right? The PS3 got its ass kicked most of the time. I know technically it did sell 1 million more consoles at the end of the generation than the Xbox 360 did, but throughout that entire console generation, 360 was on top. Again and again and again and again, pretty much all the time. Now, that forced Sony in this generation to turn so much around. They obviously successfully did that. So hopefully, now that Microsoft got their arse kicked this generation, hopefully next time, Xbox 2 or whatever, that Microsoft says, okay, this is what we did wrong last time. Let's completely not do that. And let's do everything right. Let's do what Sony did last time, and better. And then, of course, when the next generation after that rolls around, Sony will probably be playing catch-up or something. I guess, here's one thing I've always said about it. Because of Xbox's massive failure this generation, a lot of people want Xbox gone. Now, while I'm basically have kind of a love-hate relationship with Xbox in its current form, at least the console side of it anyway, because I like some of the stuff that comes to PC, I like that. But I always look at it as, it's better to have them around, just because legitimate competition breeds proper innovation.
Yes.
I'll use the 360 version as the example. And not even that, but you can actually look at the Xbox One. Xbox One was getting its arse kicked so bad that the people behind the Xbox had to come out with these new they're not the groundbreaking things, but they're new features, new things to appeal to it. Backwards compatibility with not just 360 but OG Xbox 180, to add both of them just as an extra incentive to buy it. Game Pass, little bit of an extra incentive to have something on the console. Maybe you want 100 games. Maybe you don't want to pay for 100 games. You can pay €10 a month and get your 100 games. You don't have to spend €6,000 just to get your 100 games. They're even if they are minuscule in comparison at the end of the day and the bottom line. The big important thing is that because there was competition, there was some innovation. So it's better to have them around, because let's face it, look what Sony have done this generation. Sure, they have all the games. It is a games console. I'm not going to fault them for that whatsoever. What have they done outside that? Basically nothing. There's basically nothing. Have they even got into PlayStation name change thing yet? I know there was talk of it, but I don't know if it actually came about. But what else have they done? Nothing. Now, you can argue that they don't need to do it because they're so far ahead, and I mean they've over twice the sales of the Xbox One, so they don't need to do it. But I guarantee you, if Microsoft was at 90 million sales and Sony is, I think they're at like 96, because the margin would be so close, they would need to fight that little bit harder to keep the lead, to gain a bigger lead. So they would come out with something. Sony would come out with something because they would need to. Right now they don't, so they won't. So that's the big problem with when we have one console completely dominating the entire thing. is the problem. It's the same way if one of them disappears. Which is why, even if Microsoft has done so much wrong, failed so much in this one, at least there's some type of innovation, and hopefully next time there'll be some type of proper competition.
And you know, I really want, this is why I wanted like consoles to continue forward in the way that they do, because they bring innovation in terms of hardware as well, not just like services and what it is that they do to provide actual like the experiences we see with our eyes, like in terms of software. But for example, though we shit on, and nobody was there to listen because the stream messed up, but though we shit all over the Jaguar CPU, I expressed in that same breath that it is nothing short of a miracle that we game on a Jaguar CPU, because people don't know what it means, right? They do go, okay, Jaguar, you know, this big ferocious animal, must be a
There's
very
a reason
capable.
why they use these code names.
Yes, and so, but let's say you see two cars racing. And you see one of them, it is a 1995 Honda Civic, and the other one is a 2019 Camaro. You know, you're gonna sit there and go, well, you know, obviously it's gonna be the Camaro that performs or wins in this race. So imagine a world where two companies are entering the world of racing. And one of them's Microsoft, one of them's Sony, and they take that 1995 Honda Civic, and they work closely with the Honda, and they custom tune and create this Honda Civic to be just as good, or 20% slower, or just 20% slower than the 2019 Camaro. You'd be like, how is that even possible? How? No, you can't do that. That's what Sony and Microsoft and AMD, right? AMD did with the Jaguar
it's
CPU.
AMD in this stuff.
So they went ahead and got Jaguar CPUs, which were meant for netbooks, and we could play the games that we do. We play God of War on this damn CPU, and this is something that I miss about consoles, because they force this innovation. They figure out ways. And so, like, if our consoles go the way of the woolly mammoth, then we're gonna have less innovation in hardware. And I like innovation. If there's people that put Doom on printers, on refrigerators. Somebody put Doom.
Oh, I've seen that.
Somebody put Doom on the MacBook Pro that has the very long strip of OLED
touch bar thing
at
the top.
They put in a native display, like the game running natively in that resolution of that touch bar. So it's an extremely long and thin game of Doom that you can play. This innovation, these pieces of hardware allow for stuff like this, and where there's a will, there's a way, and I love to see stuff like that. And when these consoles go to just streaming, we're gonna lose that. And honestly, I'm probably gonna stick to gaming on consoles. Not that if wherever Halo goes, I will go. Right? That's just where that's going. I'm going to say that it doesn't matter where that experience is. If we find that experience on Nintendo's platforms in the future, or Sony's, or whatever it is on, I will get it there. Because that, to me, that's the greatest story ever in video games. Period. And it's my favorite franchise. But I think, but aside from something like that, I'm probably going to game on consoles, because I want the lowest latency between my inputs and the actual console, and then between the console and my television. And look, these consoles, they do give us benefits, being a console that is physical. So like, I put in my 4K disc in there, and it's the absolute best image quality that I could get. So
yeah, you don't have to worry about say network compression or anything like that, because it's all coming it's direct from the disc. Yeah.
So
it would be obviously the same way with your, when say if you have two options for the next Xbox, where one is the streaming console and one is the physically rendered console, obviously the physically rendered one will be better, and that's why you would choose to do that.
yes, this whole physical will always be better. It doesn't matter if to me that people say, well, look how good it looks, or you can't, most people can't tell. I can tell, and we're talking about me. I'm not trying to sit here and decide what is better for everybody else. I'm trying to say what is objectively better, period. Not objectively, not subjectively what do I think. I'm saying, let's say I am dead and I no longer exist and I can't say a word of anything. I'm saying the truth will forever be the truth, whether I live or not, whether I'm around or not, whether I get to choose or not. Like, if like having it natively rendered in home to your TV will always be best.
Always be better. Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm not a fan of the whole streaming things at all. I know Microsoft are trying to run their whole Project xCloud thing. There's a few games on the Switch that are streamed because the Switch can't physically run them. Google and Amazon are coming out with their own streaming services as well. Sony obviously had PlayStation Now, so stuff like that. I mean, I don't understand why someone would. It just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Now, this gets thrown at me a lot for, oh, you're just a PC elitist.
Let's land here.
Unless it's, no, okay, I have to word this really carefully because it sounds really bad for someone who doesn't know me too well. The way I look at it, like, okay, let me give you I'll use myself as the example. I have a very high-end PC. I have a PlayStation 4 Pro and an Xbox One X because I want the best quality for my experience. Now, I realize that not everyone can afford that. I'm not going to slight anyone if they can't afford it. I'm not going to give them shit over it or anything like that. But when I sit down to play a game, I want to play the best version of the game. I want to have the best audio that was designed for that game. I want to have the best visuals. I want to have the best performance, the best textures, the best fidelity, the best everything.
Yes.
Now, again, I realize that not everyone can afford that. But why would someone purposely, like, if they have the choice, why would they purposely do that to their own experience? And it's not just like playing it for one game, and you know that's pointless. But I'm talking, if you're going to be sitting down for 7 years playing probably hundreds of games, why would you choose an inferior experience? And that is the best way I can compare it with the streaming side of it. Unless you literally can't afford it, which again, I'm not slighting anyone who can't afford a situation like that. Obviously, that's a whole other thing. But in that situation, if they can't afford it or not, why would you choose to give yourself a worse experience? It's like all the people who buy, like, there's so many games out now that are multi-pass, obviously, as well. It blows my mind. There's so many people out there that buy them on Switch. They have PS4s. They allegedly have PCs and Xbox Ones. Why would you buy a Switch version of a game? I just don't understand it. It goes with the Switch one as well as the streaming one.
Well,
I'm taking shots.
They wanna play it on the go. Maybe.
They can shove their but it's portable up their own fucking portable arse at this point. I've heard that excuse so many times. It's literally an excuse. It's a crutch. That's it. The way I look at it this way, right? It's the only way you can get time to game is a little bit of portability on a Switch. It's time to look at your life, and I'm not saying look at your life and rearrange it to fit in more gaming. I'm just saying maybe gaming isn't for you at this juncture. Maybe focus on something else, because if that's the only way you can get in maybe 20 or 30 minutes of gaming a day on your commute on a train or whatever, clearly that's not right for you at this point in life. That's the way I look at it. I know a lot of people say that's very elitist and it's kind of unrealistic. I have a full-time 40+ hour management job. I have social commitments as well. I'm in the gym almost every day, and I still find time to put in. Obviously, I do my real life stuff as well, and my chores, whatever I need to do, go out, get something to eat, go shopping, whatever it is. I obviously have to take care of my home. No matter what it, I still find significant time to game. But if your only ability is to get 20 to 30 minutes on a portable system, that's all you can do. It's just not for you at that time. That's the best way. It's the best way I can say it.
You're such the PC elitist, man. That was the most
Oh,
elite.
get out of it!
That was the most. That was the most elitist. Not just PC. Like that was the most elitist. Like if you can't play, if you could only play 30 minutes of games and it's on the go, then it's not for you at the time.
It sounds really bad. It sounds, like I said, it sounds really bad. There's probably a better way I can word it, but it's not coming to my mind if that's the point. Like, clearly, you deserve the game. Someone deserves the game and all as well, but why try to compromise your experience so much? I mean, there are Switch games that run as low as 107p, not 1070p, not 1007p. There are literally Switch games that run as low resolution as 107p. That is lower than a NES. That is lower than a Master
What
System.
game is that?
It's Ark Survival Evolved.
Why is it on there?
I don't know, but there are so many other games. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 runs below standard definition. That game can run as low as 362p. Doom runs at like 540 or 600p. Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, or no, whatever the one that came out recently, is Wolfenstein 2. That runs at 300 and I believe it's 360, might be 340p. That's below standard definition from the 90s. So imagine, like this is what blows my mind. Playing that game, and just to be able to say you have that game on your console or on your platform or whatever, or to be able to play just to say you've experienced that. To me, that's not an experience. To me, that's almost an insult that you're gimping your time with the game so much just to play it. Like, think about it. 300. Let's just say it's 360. 360p. That is lower resolution than that small 15-inch CRT TV that you probably had in your bedroom in 1992. It is a lower resolution. It's almost 3/4 of the resolution of that. It's that low.
I was just always under the impression that I didn't think that any game would beat, I'm doing air quotes, beat what is it, Batman the Telltale game in terms of the lowest resolution, because that game it's like a 3 something or 390 something p. It's like it's a really you know what, no, I might be wrong. I think it's like at 5 something. Well, you know what, now I'm very unsure, but it's very
on the Switch there's significantly lower stuff on there as it is.
So this is on PS4 and the Xbox, and it just runs like ass, and the game isn't graphically intensive, as you can tell.
Oh yeah, Telltale games aren't intensive at all.
They're poorly optimized, all of them.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. That's why before Telltale shut down, they said they were finally going to move away from their old engine because the engine was a fucking disaster. Like, I've had
a huge part of their failure, and they just kept making it with it.
Oh yeah, it's just they were completely lazy and they were completely limited by the engine because of it. And now they're fucked. And now they're gone.
They had these big contracts, man.
Yeah, everyone has so much love for Telltale and all because they put out a couple of good games. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead. The Wolf Among Us was even better. And from what I played from Tales from the Borderlands, there's a reason I didn't finish it, but what I played from Tales of the Borderlands was vintage Borderlands. It was completely on brand. It was so good. But here is what everyone else forgets. You have all the history that everyone forgets. If you ever look into we call it the history of Telltale games, all the reports, all the errors, all the stuff the management did. It's a shithole of a studio. And with people like that who are causing all these issues and all these problems, I have no love lost for Telltale as a brand, as a studio going under. Don't get me wrong, the studio, like the coders, the artists, the actual people that do the work who are put out of a job, I feel bad for those people because it's not their fault. It's the cunts at the top. It's the executives. It's the whatever you want to call them, the executive officers. It's the director. It's people like that, the CEO. They were the problem. They were causing the problems for years, and they were the reason the studio went under. Fuck those people, because they are essentially Telltale. But again, the people who are what was it, 250 people? The coders, the programmers, the artists, the designers. Those people, I feel bad for because it's not their fault, and now their livelihood's fucked. Sniper. Or at least it was at the time. It possibly still is. But a lot of people always forget that. A lot of people are. I have this kind of problem with basically anything, because so many people, they only focus on one or two specific things that usually the media likes to push. This was a big thing when Telltale went under as well, actually. They would all the media outlets would push the one or two positive things that they did. They would completely ignore the fact that the studio was basically run by shitheels, and well, they were basically abusing the staff and what they could do with the staff and all as well. So now that they're gone, and since that was Telltale, that's a good thing, essentially. I don't think a company like that should exist. I don't think those people who are people like that should have those kind of jobs and should have the ability to do that stuff to the rank and file employees.
I see what you're saying. You're saying that the company as it existed has no right to exist that way because of their...
Exactly. Now, see, here's the perfect example. If you could reopen another studio, let's say call it Telltale Games, just like it was, hire back the 250 same people, whatever it was, but change the management, change the director, change the CEO, change the financial officer, change the people who were the problem at the top. And then that studio has a perfect right to exist. And that could go on with that name, with a different name, whatever. That would be perfect. I would have no problem with that, if that makes sense. Yes. I realize they're not going to do it just because of me, but you see what I mean when talking about the studio going under and that I'm happy it's gone and whatnot. But I'm just happy that those people are no longer in the position to do what Telltale was doing.
Yeah, it just... The only reason I wouldn't want them to go down is literally because you know they're not going to get back those... Like, even if those same people, the same good people, the same ones that want to work together, the same ones that could agree that they didn't like working there in that environment because of the bad business decisions that were being made above them. You know, even if they all come together, the best people for the best reasons and this and that, they don't have those same contracts. You know, they don't have the Marvel games under their belt to work on. They don't have the DC games that they have under their belt to build on. You know, they don't have what is it, the Walking Dead
Game
stuff
of Thrones,
anymore.
Minecraft, Walking Dead. They don't have all the licenses. They would be the same studio without the ability to work on the same stuff that they did.
They're basically gutting themselves, you know, and for good reasons. But then also, I mean, what product do you have for me? I mean, that's it. And you got to start from somewhere. I get that, but I don't know how far the industry is willing to, you know, go out, like stick their neck out for these guys, because the industry says a lot of nice things but don't really do a lot of nice. I'm not saying they don't do a lot of nice things. That's not right. You know, they do charitable stuff. I'm saying they do a lot of
lip service.
They do a lot of robotic things, like, oh, you know, we're gonna be giving money to so and so charity. Great, that's happening, but they don't necessarily do that because it calls for it. They do it because it's like a routine-based kind of being told, like you're kind of being told by someone higher up than you to do these type of things, versus you wanting to do this on your own. Oh shit! Hold on. Hold on. This game is this match. Yo, this is nuts.
3 on 3.
Yeah. Yo, I have the most insane equipment on right now. I'm excited about it.
Well, now you have to win.
Oh shit.
Reloading.
Yeah, boy, I'm taking this. This is mine. This is mine. Go home. Yeah, now I'm dying. My whole team died. Team.
Rip in pieces.
Yeah, I got Liddy. I got Liddy as a titty.
Haven't heard that one before.
No. Yeah, you know what's funny is that I'm still out here getting like these hate tweets because there's this guy with a big he's like, oh, to me he's a big YouTuber. He has a big following on Twitter and all that. And he says, this is a tweet he put out on February 18th. He says, there should be a rule against releasing a AAA first-party exclusive in 2019 that's not running in HD. Bruh, most of the Xbox 360 games were HD. Man, the OG Xbox in 2001 ran HD games. Come on, Nintendo fans, have we really lowered our expectations this low? Don't want to hear any excuses. So I said, most of the Xbox 360 games were HD? Question mark. Source me, please. He said, did you have a 360? I said, source me, brosif. I want to see that list with most 360 titles running in native 720p or higher. And then some guy sends me a link to a IGN forum board where some guy makes a very blanket and broad and vague with no backup statement. Basically, I asked him and them to give me a list because I sent them on an impossible mission intentionally because they couldn't do the thing that it is that I'm asking them to do. And to this day, although it was 2 weeks ago, they still have yet been able to do that. And some guy just tweeted me saying, why does everybody on the internet act like their option is the only one that matters? And yes, I'm talking to you, Food. And it's funny to me because it's not like people, I feel like plenty of people, especially like on my college campus, like they don't understand what facts is. I always use that example that I said earlier. Like if I were dead, the thing that I'm saying would still be true because it's not because it's coming out of my mouth that I'm telling you that it's true. It is because it is true. So 720p is HD. 1080p is full HD. Anything below that, sub HD. And so when this guy's telling me that Xbox, the OG Xbox, is playing games in HD, this guy literally thinks because you have a TV that's capable of plugging in with your component cables, and then you go into settings and support the output of a signal that is 720p and 1080p, he thinks that that is literally HD. But I'm the idiot. All these people are telling me I'm the idiot when I'm telling them that that is not true. And I like if I know one thing about anything, it is about technical standards with consoles, their specs, and what they're capable of doing, resolution. You know, and I mean, it went on for such a long time. I know this is a random topic, but yeah, this is just it perplexes me.
There's a perfect example you can give back to him. Halo 3 runs in standard definition. It's like 576p.
I actually did use that. So they talked about. They said, because the guy who gave me he sourced me a forum of a guy who made a stupid statement. It was that all games run in 720p on Xbox, the minimum. Like at minimum, they run at 720p. When that's not true. And I sourced him, Bungie saying themselves that the game, Halo 3, is going to be running at 600 and something p.
Yeah, there you go. I knew it was. I couldn't remember the exact number, but I knew it was below HD.
So, but I tell people this, and they're like, no, 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 and then they get more people to come in and be like, no, stupid, this one guy, and like, so they're not willing to learn. They don't like the idea of being wrong, and they're unwilling to be wrong. And so now they're going to go forward and tell people these lies about consoles. But when they see on YouTube a very well done, elaborated, high production, and when I say high production, I mean the exact opposite of what they're seeing right now on my YouTube channel, which is me in a little box in the right corner. They're going to go, wow, I never knew that the Xbox 360, I learned this on so-and-so's channel. Like, but so because I'm just some guy with 1,000 subs and on Twitter, with followers that don't interact and whatnot, and I just spew my opinion, which call me crazy. I got a social media account to kind of say what's on my mind because that's what the platform is for. I'm the idiot. It's me. So yeah. Anyways,
trust me, it's not just people like that. I mean, there were people on the Sony side of it as well. I always found, because you had the hardcore Vita fanboys. Now, here's the funny thing, right? The official minimum HD standard isn't actually 1280 by 720. It's actually a little bit lower. It's 1024 by 720, so it is technically just a little lower. And anything below that is classified as standard definition or enhanced definition, depending on what standard you're going by. But either way, that's the bare minimum for it. Now, because everything, like pretty much anything you can think of nowadays, has to have HD in the name. There's HD audio, HD video, HD this, HD that. You can pick up like HD food at this point just because it sells. It's a marketing gimmick. Let me give you a perfect example. The PlayStation Vita. The PlayStation Vita is what they call a QHD. So it's exactly 1/4 of full HD. Now, if you take 1/4 of full HD, you are below the minimum required standard of high definition. So it is technically standard definition. Don't get me wrong, I have a launch day Vita. It has the OLED screen. It looks fantastic for what it does, but it's not HD. Now, because it has HD in the name, QHD, 1/4 of HD, everyone, or at least the fanboys, or when I say the ignorant people, I mean people who just don't know, not the other type of ignorant people. They are just absolutely convinced that because it has HD in the name, it is HD. I always use another perfect example. There's a standard that's lower than 1/4 of HD. There's one that's called NHD, which is 1/9 of high definition. That's even lower. That's less than the actual Vita one by a considerable margin. It's mainly used by a lot of old phones, not smartphones, but just older phones as well. So I always say to them, wait a minute, this has HD in the name. It's below the standard, just like the Vita is as well. Is this HD? Yeah, it has HD in the name. A lot of people don't understand that resolution, a certain resolution aspect, or a certain resolution and a certain aspect ratio go with it. They don't understand that that is what makes something HD.
Yeah.
It's not just the name. It's not just the branding on it or the marketing gimmick. Like, there's so many people. It annoys me so much because, you know, as someone who's into tech, you know yourself, there's so much intricacy to know all this and what you can do with all this knowledge. And some people just blindly spout whatever they want.
Yes.
And
you know, I went through so much time of research to learn, understand truly what these things mean in our everyday lives and what it is that we want to do and how they function and all that, so that I get excited and I have that opportunity to tell you, to teach you, to convey to you this product feature something.
Yeah, standards and facts and
they're the Nintendo Wii does HD. It just does. It has component cables. Like, just dumb shit. Just straight up, no facts because it isn't. Not, at least have something to back it, and I'll respect that. At least you came into something ready. You could be ready and be wrong, like they are.
Yeah, you had something to base your belief on, even if that was wrong.
Yes.
But not just this utter blanket statement that is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, it just drives me nuts, and I don't think I get the respect in the gaming community the way that I should. Not, and I'm not saying like I mean, I feel like I deserve respect as far as a person, but I don't think that they're disrespecting me in that sense, like, because for them to do that would be like mailing some shit to my house or calling my job, right? So they're not doing that. But I mean, in terms of like gaming, the thing that I've been able to do most for as long as that I've been on YouTube is to talk about the actual facts, right? I've talked a lot about opinion, and there's moments where my opinion's incorrect. Every single time I have Seamus Blackley. Well,
well, I mean, I'll joke about people having wrong opinions and all of that, but when you think about it, I mean, I get what you're trying to say. It's really hard to explain.
No, but I misspoke, so I just feel like I get what you mean. So thanks for saying that. I mean, for what it is that I believe to be truth turned out to be incorrect. Like I've had
that's a better word.
I've had Seamus Blackley on a couple times, and I'll say, well, because of this, right? And he'll be like, no, not at all. It's because, and I'm like, oh, okay, well then everything that I believed in that sense is incorrect, and you're about to tell me why and how and what actually happened. So, so that's me getting schooled, and then I go, I absorb it, and then I say it to someone else, and they're like, nah, and then I go, but Seamus told me, oh yeah, now it's true,
just because,
so it drives me nuts, man. But that's what I'm saying. I've done that a few times. Like, if you go through like every single show I've ever done, you'll find something here and there like that. But as far as facts, they're still facts, and my shows, the things that I've done in that regard is still like that. So I didn't go on there. Like, I would throw in my opinion every now and then. Like if I could talk about the Sega, I'm like, I thought the Sega was amazing, and I liked it because it was this and this and that, and I played it more because of that. Like, that's my opinion. Like, so when I say because the sound was better or the games were faster, that's just like fact, right? But because we're talking about chips and what they're capable of doing. But when I say let me think, that it was more for teens, not for kids, the Sega Genesis, though that's what they marketed for. That's really an opinion, to be quite honest, what's better for teens and kids, because that's also kind of tough too, because you can talk about how Nintendo had more kid-friendly games. I think they both had kid-friendly games. I think what we got to talk about at that point is which games are better for kids, and then what are more fun, I guess I should say, and then that's where we get into like subjective territory. But I always talk about like processors and attachments, the goal, and something I try to discuss in those videos that I used to do is I try to discuss the climate, the then climate. I don't talk about I don't whisper the name of Xbox in a video about the Sega Genesis. Like, I talk about what is reality, and it is Nintendo. They are the looming figure over you, and I discuss everything from the Xbox. Wow, and I just said I wouldn't say that. To discuss everything from the Genesis to the 32X to the Sega CD with Tom Kalinske, moving into the Saturn generation, how Bernie Stolar, really screwed up Sega. Bernie Stolar screwed up that company like Not like a villain. I'm just saying, like, he went out there, he tried and failed. Oh man, are you familiar with the Sega Genesis?
Yeah, I know the whole thing about what they tried to do. They tried to make it into a 32-bit console to compete because of the 32X, and then obviously they rushed out they were saying like the 32X is the future, and then suddenly it's like no, forget the 32X that you just spent all the money on. The Sega Saturn is the future, and then of course they screwed the Sega Saturn, and very shortly later it's like no, the Dreamcast is the future, and yeah, well then that just yeah, we know how that went.
Yeah. So you had, and I know you said but I'm just trying to talk because I never get to have these conversations in real life. I just don't. You don't find people on the internet really that want to talk about this kind of stuff. But you got Sega of I was gonna say Sony, Sega of North America, and Sega Japan doing different things. So Sega of Europe doing different things, right? So you have Sega of North America saying, "Look, the 32X is doing great. It's doing great. Let's not go through with this. Like the Sega Saturn." And Japan's like, "No, we're going through with the Sega Saturn. This is what we're doing." And the Sega Saturn's actually super successful in Japan. Like they're very popular over there. And in North America, the 32X was very popular, right? And then in Europe, what they have, it wasn't the Genesis, I believe it was called the Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Then think about this: they were burning through cash because you're developing, and when I say developing, I don't mean like software wise, but I mean you're actually developing hardware. So you're developing at one point the Sega Saturn, you're developing Sega CD, you're developing Sega 32X, Sega Genesis. Some places are like in Brazil, you're getting the Master System, and you got then the Game Gear, right? Then you got what is it? You got other peripherals. So like let's give peripherals its own category, just one, not like several fingers, but let's give it its own finger, right? Because in the world of peripherals, you have the cards that you put in the front loading slot. You got a virtual reality headset that they had, a gun, and they had one where you like lay this ring out on the floor, like this octagon looking thing on the floor.
I've seen that you can like punch above it and put your legs above it and all to do
and it would
directions and all that stuff.
Yes, and it would shoot infrared beams from the bottom up and be like, all right, this beam is being this sensor is picking up movement in this area, and it's the other beam is picking it up a little later, which means his hand over here would be moving, or he'd be leaning closer to this part of the ring. Like they had all these crazy peripherals. Sega was like ready for the future. They wanted to be the future. They were like, what could possibly be the future? You've heard of people that just throwing things on the wall and see what sticks, right?
Yeah.
When you think about that, you think of someone taking something and throwing it at the wall, taking something and throwing it at the wall, taking something. They didn't take 8 turns to throw something at the wall. They took all the things that they owned, put it in their arms, and then just like hucked it at the wall, and they're like, all right, which one of those 8 things just stuck?
Which one of them is still there?
Yeah, they go all in all the time about everything. So imagine, I like to think about, like, imagine a person that is like that, just a person. Like, let's not talk about companies or games for a second. Imagine a guy who never, I don't know if you know the saying over there, but like he never turns down. Like, you know how, like, the guy in your life that's like always energetic and happy and smiling, but once a month or once every 2 months or once every 3 months they're down, depressed, unhappy, tired, they don't want to hear it, but 99% of the time they're turned up, but imagine a guy who's 100% of the time turned up all the time. Oh, they also had SegaNet. You could connect to the internet with your Sega console. But anyways, so imagine that. Like, you would be like how is this guy's on drugs? He's on an energy drink. He's on crack cocaine. This guy, you cannot possibly live like that all the time. You gotta slow it down. That was Sega. They're like, I'm turned up all the time. I'm 100% all the time. I am, what is it? I'm listening to Rush all the time. You know, I'm not slowing down for nobody. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a phone call. You know what? We'll just end the show here because this is where my movie night starts. So.
Oh, well, perfect timing then.
Q, thanks for coming out a second time in one night.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
No
thanks for
problem.
that. Everybody who stops by and swung in, I appreciate it. Really, it was awesome. I love these conversations. The highlight of the week, man. This is Too Much Food. Thanks for stopping by for another show. Please don't forget to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.